Durden joins me now as he gets ready to fight July the 18th against John Sweeney. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Just been working hard. I'm ready.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. You're down there at ATT Atlanta. You got a stable of stallions around you. You must be feeling pretty good leading up to this fight.
I am, man. I bounce back and forth from ATT Atlanta to ATT Team Lima, and I'm ready. I'm more ready than ever. So this will be my I'll be on a 7-fight win streak after this fight, and I'm pumped. You know.
How has training been during this pandemic? I mean, I know you just fought in March, but with everything being shut down and things starting to get back to normal, have you been able to get in some sense of a normal training camp?
Man, training never stopped for me. I created a small team around me, and I had access to the gyms, and we still continue to train. But we did take a lot more precautions, like by limiting the amount of people that came, and just small groups, 10 or less people, like we were supposed to be doing. But every day, man, I was training, and I'm ready.
Were you able to get any like real live sparring in, or have you been trying to do mostly, work, pad work and staying away from clinching and doing that hard work that you normally would be doing?
No, man, not really, not really, man. I'm not concerned about the virus. I do what I can to not get it, but if I get it, so be it. It is what it is. But I'm not going to change my lifestyle of what I've been working towards the past 8 years because of something that's kind of like a flu to me. So
Yeah, it makes sense. Who have been some of your main training partners here for this camp?
Anthony Rivera has been, a training partner of mine for a while now. Walter Flores, Congo, a guy named Sergio. He's like a two-time ADCC World Jiu-Jitsu champion. Man, we've been training since the end of May, the beginning of June, just about at a regular schedule now. So. Plus, I went to Coconut Creek and I trained down there for a whole week at the beginning of June. Yeah, man. I mean, it varies. We have strategy we're working on, and there's no doubt about it that my game plan is going to prevail. So,
tell me a little bit about your backstory and how you got into MMA.
Man, I had a buddy of mine that I went to high school with, and he was fighting on the regional scene, and he was like, "Hey, man, come check me out and come train with me." And I was a 2-time state champion in wrestling, and I either decided to go to college or start fighting. And man, I started training, and I fell in love with it, and I thought I could really be good at it. And then that's when I joined American Top Team Gwinnett, which is American Top Team Lima now, and met Diego Lima. And man, he took me under his wing, and we're here today with 10-2, with 9 finishes, 4-0 in boxing, double champ, 8-man tournament champion. The accolades are adding up, man. And some people's paths to the UFC or to one championship is easier than others. And when I get there, it's going to be that much sweeter.
Mm-hmm. Now, with the wrestling background, I've always said I feel like wrestling is the most important discipline to have a solid base in MMA. Was there a certain discipline that took you a little bit longer to grasp than anything else? Like, did you struggle with jiu-jitsu or boxing, or did it all just come natural to you?
No, man, I struggled with boxing. There was no secret, man. When I first started, I could take anybody down, and I could be on top and ride them out. But I wasn't comfortable on my feet, and that's when I started taking boxing matches, and I started really honing in on boxing, 4 times a week, just boxing and Muay Thai, and learning the combos and storing them in my head. And that's what really made me a better fighter, when I had the wrestling and I started understanding the mental aspect of the game, and started focusing on boxing. And then now it's all together, man. I'm a complete fighter.
Yeah, and again, as you said earlier, a very impressive record, 10-2. You just had an RNC victory in March, and I believe that's your fourth finish in a row. Tell me a little bit about that win and where that puts you now in your career as far as maybe getting a Contender Series shot at some point soon.
Well, the guy I was fighting, he was 10-3. He's beat some of the best guys in the Southeast, a 7-0, a 4-0, another 4-0, and man, he was just solid competitor. And I had a game plan going in, and the game plan worked perfectly. You know, took him down and rear naked choked him in the first round, and in 3 minutes. So. Uh, Yeah, man. I mean, it worked out, and the opponent before that was 6-2 on a 4-fight win streak. I smoked him in the second round after taking a illegal knee to the face. That's why I have a scar right here. Uh, I took a knee to the face in the second round while I was down. I made one mistake, and he got on top of me. But yeah, man. The opponents' records are there, and the good opponents that I'm fighting. You know, there's no doubt about it. I know where I belong, man, and I belong fighting the best, and you know that when you go down to Coconut Creek and you test yourself against the best in the world, you know. So
Could you compare your game to someone maybe like in the UFC or Bellator that the mainstream fans know? Is there someone that you think you're similar to?
I fight sort of like Corey Sandhagen. Uh, yeah, I mean, I've always liked Dominic Cruz. I like getting my feet going and getting moving, but I don't use it to that level of extent because of how much energy it takes to keep your feet moving like that. But yeah, man, I'd say I'm more like Corey Sandhagen.
Yeah, well, that's a good guy to be compared to. He's one of the best in the division. As I mentioned earlier, it seems like with your record, where you're ranked as far as down in the southern part of the country, you would be one guy that should be on the radar of Dana White and the UFC brass for at least a Contender Series shot. Have you heard any rumors about that, or is that something that we'll see maybe soon if you pick up this win here in a couple short weeks?
Well, man, my manager's been in talks with Sean Shelby in the UFC, which is the matchmaker, and it's like we're taking one step forward, but you know, two step forward, but one step back. So, uh, I don't know what the future is right now. I know in 2 weeks I got a tough test ahead of me, and then we'll see. Hopefully I get the Contender Series call. But I don't get my hopes up anymore. I'm just going with the flow. If it happens, it happens, and it's going to be that much sweeter because I know I'm going to be ready.
But that is your ultimate goal, though, right? You do want to get into the UFC or maybe even like a Bellator or a PFL. That's where you want to be, correct?
Yes, my ultimate goal would be to quit my full time job, man, and fight full time. I'm a lineman for Georgia Power, so I'm out there, when they have bad storms, fixing the power and stuff, and I'm ready to quit that. I'm ready to do this full time. So.
So tell me, how do you balance that work, training life, and with your family? Because I'm newly engaged, and I know what it's like to try and balance everything. It's not easy. It must be pretty difficult for you.
Man, it's not bad, man, because my wife is so supportive, man. When I get home and there's days when I don't want to go to the gym, she's on my ass like, why aren't you going to the gym? And then when I get back from the gym, dinner's made, dinner's in the microwave. It's like, like she wants me to succeed too. And I said, baby, why do you keep telling me to go to the gym? When I'm tired or when I don't want to go. She said, because I'm tired of working. Because she works as well. So I just, she's very supportive, and it gets tiring sometimes, but man, it works out, man. So I'm blessed. I really am.
Yeah, it sounds it. That's fantastic. Tell me, have you guys watched any good movies or anything on Netflix during this downtime? I know we've binge watched quite a few shows. Is there anything you can suggest?
The Invisible Man. We watched that not too long ago, and it's a thriller. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. You should check it out.
Okay. Anything else, or you haven't really had a whole lot of time to maybe go down that route and check out a whole lot of other series?
Nah, not really, man. Not really. I'm either down working towards my goals or just hanging out with my kids in the outdoors. I don't get to watch a lot of TV, even though my son's always trying to play that damn Fortnite. I can't stand that shit.
Yeah. I'm not a Fortnite guy either, but I don't have any kids, so I haven't gotten to that point just yet. Tell me, the fight's just a couple short weeks away now, man. You're coming into weight cut time here soon. How much do you have to cut on average?
Well, this fight's actually going to be at 135 plus 2, and I'm walking around about 154 right now. That's eating good, eating well. The highest I've ever been is about 158. So it's going to go good, man. I want to be about 10 pounds come fight week, and that's going to be easy, man. So it'll go good. I've never missed weight, bro. I've had 22 fights, and I always show up and always make weight. I've had I think 21 fights, and I've only pulled out of one fight in my career, and I always show up and make weight. So,
are you still going to be making that cut and fighting at flyweight here moving forward, or do you think bantamweight is going to be where you're at?
It depends on the opportunity, man. It depends on the money, the opportunity. Is it worth the risk? Because 125 is hard for me to make, man. I make it, but damn, it drains me. So, yeah, man, it just depends on the opportunity and the risk. If the UFC called and said, hey, we got a fight for you in 4 weeks, 125, I would try my best to make the weight.
Do you feel like you're massive at 125 compared to the other fighters? You have a big size advantage?
Yeah, man. There's no doubt about that. I had a guy come in and train with me. He was a 2-time All-American, D1 All-American, ranked number 3 in the nation. And, man, he was just so small wrestling. I beat him for the most part. So I was thinking, man, if this guy's, D1 wrestler, I thought I was going to lose to, and I'm throwing him around. I'm like, man, I must be a big 125er. You know what I mean? So, it's hard to make, but there's no doubt about it with the right discipline and with the right eating right that I can make it again. I know I can make it again.
Well, that's good that this fight then is at 135, especially if you're up in mid 150s right now. 20 pounds, man. I still can't wrap my head around how you guys cut all that weight. I know the science behind it and how you do it, but it is not easy. It takes a next level kind of discipline to do that. So I can only tip my cap to you guys that do cut that much weight to get down and fight here as a professional mixed martial artist. Now tell me, NFC 125, this is going to be on FloCombat, correct?
Right, yes.
Okay, so no fans in the stands.
Yes, they're going to be fans.
There will.
Yes, it's going to be under a pavilion. It's going to be outside. And there's going to be boxing going on and MMA at the same time. So it's going to be a fairly large crowd because we're fighting like 5 miles from my hometown, and people know that I sell fights. So it's going to be a lot of Team Durden fans there.
So this is called Fights and Bikes. Is there going to be motorcycles and whatnot there as well?
Yeah, it's going to be at the Harley Davidson. So, there's going to be a lot of motorcycles there.
No kidding. See, I'm not familiar with that area, so that's really cool. Is this something that NFC typically does with their promotion?
They've done it before, but I think this will be the second time. So, yeah, I think they're still getting a feel for it, but the first turnout was great, so they're doing it again.
Now, with you selling a lot of tickets and having a lot of fans there and being so close to where you live, how does that affect you come fight night? Do you feel like it gives you more motivation, or do you feel more pressure?
Man, I feel privileged. If I have all this pressure on my back, it's just a privilege. And, I don't feel any pressure because man, win or lose, like I'm fucking in the gym the next week. You know, I've lost before. You know, it's part of the game. So I don't put any pressure on myself. It's all fun. And at the end of the day, my friends and family and everybody that comes to support me, they love me. So, you know, a win is just a bonus. And fortunately for them, they've got to experience a lot of those bonuses.
Yeah, that's good. Well, let's talk about your opponent, Sweeney. What kind of a fight stylistically do you feel like we're going to see come fight night?
I mean, he's just athletic and likes to run his mouth to get in his opponent's heads. But he's not fucking crazy like me, bro. So that's not working. That's not working on me, you know? So.
Has he said anything on social media or to hype this fight up? Has he tried to get in your head?
I mean, not here recently, but in the past 2 years, you know, we've had a lot of back and forth. And, man, he's a bitch, bro. I'm telling you. I'm going to finish him. And when I do, I'm going to smack him on the ass. I'm going to pat him on the head and tell him good job. That's what I'm going to do.
Where is your biggest advantage in this fight? With your wrestling background, do you feel like that's where you're just going to shine, or do you feel it just doesn't matter? You're going to be able to outclass them regardless of where the fight goes?
Man, I'm better standing up. I'm better on the ground. I'm better off my back. I'm better against the cage. I'm better everywhere in this guy. The only thing that he may have on me is power, but it's all right. I got something for that. You know, you can't strike off your back. So, you know, if you think you're gonna knock somebody out when you're on your back, you know, getting mauled like Khabib did to Michael Johnson, then hats off to you.
So you said you're going to finish him here in this fight. Does it get out of the first round, or do you feel like you will be able to maybe win a decision, or even like if it goes into the second or third? What kind of a, I guess, duration fight are we going to see?
I'm going to break his ass in the first round. In the second round, I'm going to finish him. So that's the point.
I love it. I love the confidence. Who's going to be in your corner there? Are you going to have either the Lima brothers or anyone there in your corner come fight night?
I'm actually going to have one of my coaches that's been there with me, since the beginning of the pro career, Brantley Furr, and then we're only allowed 2 cornermen, so it's going to be Brantley and Tony Martin.
Oh, and Tony Martin, you're going to have Rocco there as well. That's fantastic. Tell me a little something about Rocco, because as you know, I do a weekly show with him, and he's become one of my favorite people in all of MMA. What is he like to be around in the gym?
Man, he's fun. You know, he's been coming up to practices, and he's been coaching me while I'm sparring and in between rounds, telling me what I need to do, what I don't need to do, and you know, we've just been working on a game plan. We were talking about it today, about a couple hours ago, about the game plan and just sticking to the course. And he's wild, man. He's a wild, wild guy. You know, he's got a dark side, and I'm going to get him to channel that dark side into a UFC champion. So.
Yeah, what did you think of that last fight against Neil Magny? How did you score it? Do you think Rocco won that one?
I think he won the first 2 rounds, man. There's no doubt about it. And, you know, got a little gassed in the 3rd round. And, yeah, I mean, tough loss. You know, it was a tough one for sure. There's been robberies before, just like I thought Jose Aldo beat Marlon Moraes in that fight. But, you know, something's got to change with this judging, man. I don't understand.
Yeah. What do you think would be a good step for, you know, MMA to do moving forward with judges? Maybe add more judging, or, you know, have more people there cage side? Like, what do you think would make a good step for us to fix this problem?
I'm not really sure, because I haven't really studied it. But these guys have to have an idea of how hard it is to get out of positions, to hold somebody in a position, to know who really wants to win, who's really trying, and who's really not trying. And I think that becomes with a ex fighters. You know, I think they need ex fighters in there, not some politicians or somebody that, you know, thinks they know and they've never even stepped in the cage. Mm-hmm. But that's just my opinion. I don't know much about it, but if I were to guess.
Yeah, well, I actually spoke with UFC featherweight Stephen Ocho Peterson, and he said the same thing. So you're clearly onto something there, and it does make a lot of sense, especially former fighters that have been in there that understand what it's like. So I'm going to lean with you on that one. I do agree. Well, listen, I really appreciate the time. Our first interview together, so check that box. I'm really excited to see this fight and what is next for you. For anyone out there that wants to follow you on social media, tell them where they can do that.
Just Cody Durden, man. Google Cody Durden, you'll find everything. Or YouTube Cody Durden, you'll see all kind of fights.